Social change. It's what has allowed us to identify however we want. It's what got women the vote. It's what desegregated schools. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about how it is defined by us. Sociologists define social change as changes in human interactions and relationships that transform cultural and social institutions. But Leicht explained it simpler as the significant alteration of social structure and cultural patterns through time. An example of this could be the ending of the Apartheid movement or marijuana legalisation. It shows a shift in the mindsets of the many, but I want to look at how we as individuals can play our part in causing such radical change. The Ford Foundation released a video exempling the 3 core tenets that must work together in order to bring about change. They are political opportunity, organisational infrastructure and engaged individuals. These can seem very distant, but at their core they revolve around people. The very idea of social change revolves around people. Whether you're the leader of the movement or just participating in it, you're an integral part of the cause. We all have the tendency to feel a little insignificant when it comes to big changes like this. Yeah, you're one of 47 million people voting in the general election, and if you stop eating meat, billions of people still will. But we need to think about the term engaged individuals and what that means. It requires each and every one of us fighting for what we believe in as individuals and coming together as the many. Every social movement that you believe in, whether it's desegregation or women's rights, required a group of people, each whose presence was absolutely vital. It's your responsibility as a human to see the value of your voice, both on its own and amongst the many. Lydia Sard wrote an article for Gallup on the social changes brought about by Woodstock Festival 1969. It was a gathering of 500,000 people in an open, classless society of music, sex, drugs, love and peace. The article outlines the facts and figures of what's changed since then. There's heightened acceptance of first semester abortion, interracial marriage, more willingness to have a female president, and while there was no proof to say that these en masse social changes were caused by Woodstock in particular, its attendees all believed in these core messages, and from there sprung a revolution. With every person who believed that people of different races should be allowed to get married or that a woman could be president, dynamics shifted and the minority became the majority, and the longer time passes, the more out of touch the minority will seem. And in reality, how do we do all this? How do we make this change and connection? Everyone's got their own ideas, but I really think Dara Frimmer nails it in her TEDxUCLA talk. She believes that in order for social change to happen, communities need to come together and share stories, saying, "I'm far more likely to say yes if I know your story." It's just that, isn't it? When we look at Malala, we don't see a statistic, but a girl who was denied the right to education. The same goes for Rosa Parks, who was born amidst segregation and had to stop giving in. Stories, community and individuality lead on to what I am trying to do with Filthy Clean Vegan, and this isn't a sales pitch, it's just my example. What Filthy Clean Vegan is a multimedia interactive hub for veganism, featuring recipe videos, podcasts, articles, short films and more. The idea of community is so important to me when discussing Filthy Clean Vegan. Not only do I want to create a site where people can talk about whatever they desire, but I want user-generated content to be a key part of it. I will be commissioning people to make art, helping to fund their films and working with writers to produce articles, all in the hopes of educating people about veganism. I want Filthy Clean Vegan to not only be a home for vegans, but a catalyst for social change in the wider society. Perhaps working in conjunction with the sharing of stories, I believe that education is equally as important in transforming the viewpoints on the vegan diet, and I want to do this through the medium of podcast. What inspired the idea for the Filthy Clean Vegan podcast was the work of Dr. Michael Greger in his book How Not to Die. Greger traded in preachy propaganda and replaced it with hard facts on disease and how your diet impacts it. It just so happens that the vegan diet will always help you out. The book is packed with quotes that will change your perspective, and here are a few. There is more time spent teaching doctors on end-of-life care than preventing suffering. We're living longer, but we're living sicker. If we continue to eat like we're having our last meals, eventually they will be. And if that doesn't do it for you, there's an insane amount of facts as well. I spent hours reading through the Goliath of a book and was infatuated with it. Not everyone's going to have time to read through the book, so I wanted to collate the information alongside other wider reading that I've done into podcast series, each with 3 to 4 minute podcasts in it. One might be on protein, one might be on iron, and another on cholesterol, all linking back to the vegan diet and the impact that it can have on these factors. I want this podcast to be of a very high quality, so I've done test podcasts to experiment with different techniques and find what works for me. Filthy Clean Vegan will be an educational platform, and one big feature will be its recipes. The brand is good, realistic, fun, healthy food that we can all make and enjoy. When planning these recipes, I turned into a nutty professor, scribbling like crazy, experimenting with taste and turning my house into a restaurant. I documented many of these on videos as I experimented with recipes and perfecting them, as well as figuring out my voice and camera angles for when it comes to properly producing the videos. I want these recipes to show exactly what it means to be filthy clean. I want them to be consistently great, so to do this I've been watching other vegan chefs like Gaz Oakley and Mira Soda to see what they do, how they incorporate flavours and maintain consistently great food. Another key feature of Filthy Clean Vegan is going to be its articles, and I want the brand to be known for its well-produced, consistent quality in its writing. I want to usher in a new generation of young writers and get them commissioned for their work for the first time. I've said before that I want the website to be the cosmopolitan of the vegan world, and I completely stand by that. Looking at the history of lifestyle and news sites, for them to get respected and get a high number of visitors, they need to be on the cutting edge of production, constantly developing new ideas and points of views. I want to teach young writers how to pitch and give them a place to share their views, linking into Frimmer's previous comments on storytelling being the best way to encourage change. We all come from different backgrounds, and for me, writing is one of the ways to celebrate and share this. Most of my planning work has been around my voice and purpose as an activist and creator, dividing my time between looking at vegan personalities and the wider world. On the vegan side, I drilled into the language, demeanour and personality of 3 vegans, Gary Yourofsky, Sadia Bidet and Gaz Oakley. Whether it's Yourofsky's unwavering passion, Bidet's kindness or Oakley's transformational creativity, each of these personalities is causing a massive change within veganism. By looking at the way they act and impact the viewer, I've been able to figure out a voice for Filthy Clean Vegan and an approach that isn't too imposing or stern, but retains its core feelings of passion towards encouraging people to go vegan. There's a lot of work involved with bringing this website together, and once January rolls around, I'll have about 3 months to get everything done. I've planned every single aspect of it and spent my time in libraries making sure that I'm doing the correct research, so when I go to actually make all these things, I know what I'm doing. But when you spend all this time doing that, it's easy to lose touch with the outside world. So I created a survey to speak to vegetarians, vegans, flexitarians and those looking to transition to get an idea of what they wanted from a website. And what I found out is that we're all different. Some people want meal preps, others want a forum of people to talk to, and almost everyone wanted more than one thing. From this it was clear to me that we're complex beings and I need to reflect that in my work. I'm noting everyone's views because I know what it's like to struggle transitioning to a vegan diet, and I want to make it as easy as possible for everybody else. A perfect world for me is one where everyone is vegan, but an ideal world that I can live in is one where everyone tries to cut down on meat consumption and prejudice against veganism is lower. That will be a great social change, and we're going to do it as individuals. When we look back to apartheid, the suffragette movement, or attitudes towards smoking, the views upheld by the majority can often seem inconceivable now. And if our planet lasts another 100 years, I hope we view veganism in the same way. I don't want to compare veganism to race or gender issues, but I think that the day will come when we value our health, the environment and animal rights as pivotally important.
This could be the first generation of children in the United States that lives less than its parents.
Simon Amstel released Carnage 2 years ago, and its tagline is, "In 2067, the UK is vegan, but older generations are suffering the guilt of their carnivorous past." When I first saw it, I thought it was ludicrous, but come 2067, I think Amstel might be right. I ask you whether you want to be on the right side of history or not. I hope this discussion on social change has you excited about what's to come. History shows time and time again the value that you have as an individual. You can lead the revolution, or you can just speak with your votes and your hearts. The only crime is succumbing to believing that your voice doesn't matter. So speak with your votes, your online presence, your friendly chatter and your shopping list. Let's share stories and be heard.
One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world.